Hi folks, welcome back to Rule of Thumb. Today, as promised, I thought I would bring you along for a traditional Hanukah dish. Probably doesn't get any more traditional than latkes. And some of you may know what a latke is, some of you may not. So essentially what a latke is a potato pancake. And as is the case with many traditional ethnic foods, there is about 1 million versions of this. So depending on who you talk to, some are going to say, less is more. Some are going to add more to it. There is many variations out there now on the traditional potato latke. Some people are adding different vegetables or mixing vegetables. Some purists will tell you to just use the potatoes, salt and pepper, and fry them in oil. The most common method is going to be the shredded potatoes with egg and either flour or matzo meal. And then typically it will also have shredded onion in it as well. So what I'm going to show you today is my version, and from there you'll be able to build on it and do what you like. And depending on how our week goes, I may or may not be back with another version of latkes later in the week. So I'm going to run through what I have out here on the counter first, then I'm going to get these potatoes shredded up, and then I will come back and show you what it looks like once we have everything mixed together. So what I have here is about 5 small to medium potatoes, basically, and I scrubbed these up really well. You can see there's even water on the cutting board. I'm looking for a pound-ish, pound and a half, something around there. I got 2 eggs that I blended up here. I am using a half a cup of I mixed all-purpose flour and cornmeal. Because I wanted that little bit of crunch in there, which is typically why a lot of people use matzo meal, because you get some crunch from it. I, believe it or not, do not have any in my house. I actually used it all after this last Passover, and which is what you're supposed to do. So this is my alternative to that. And then here I've got 2 teaspoons of salt, I've got a teaspoon of onion powder, and a half teaspoon of white pepper. I do not like raw onions in mine. I know they're not raw when you cook them, but I don't like them in there, so I prefer the onion powder in mine, because I do like the little hint of flavor that you get from it, but I just prefer it without the actual onions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in my Ninja and shred these into essentially hash browns. I do not take the skin off of mine. You can peel yours and shred them that way. You could use thawed frozen hash browns if you are so inclined. However you want to get to the potato state. So I am going to shred these. I'm going to mix them with everything else here on this board, and then I will bring you back when we get to that point. Okay folks, so I almost forgot to tell you the most important part about making a latke. You gotta squeeze the water out of the potatoes. So you can see I put all my potatoes in a towel here. This is why I love flour sack towels, because they perform many duties in the kitchen. So then you're just literally, look at all the water that's coming out of them. You're literally squeezing all the water that you can get out of them. And that's how you get crispy, crunchy outsides on your latkes. And there's a saying that when you think you've gotten all of it out, you haven't. Squeeze harder. So I'm going to squeeze on this just a little bit more here, and then I'm going to finish mixing everything up, and then I will bring you folks back. Okay folks, so we got everything mixed together here. You can see in the bottom of my bowl, it's a pretty, there's not really a whole lot of moisture there, which is what you want. You want that flour or matzo meal or whatever you're using to soak in there and pick up the last of that moisture. The eggs are going to help bind it together. So what we're going to do is I'm going to move you folks over to the stove and we're going to fry some of these up. Okay folks, welcome back. So as you can see, I've got a pan here. I've got just enough to coat the bottom of the pan, give myself a, I don't like to deep fry mine, I like to shallow fry mine. So I just have, what would be, I guess, maybe considered a quarter of an inch, probably not even that, probably an eighth of an inch. What I chose to use was ghee, which I got at Aldi. This is a clarified butter, so it has a higher smoking point, so it doesn't get smoky as easily when you're frying in it. What you want to do is get your oil hot. You can see I put a little piece in there. You can see it sizzling in there. Can you folks see that? Yeah, you see that little piece right there? That's how I know it's ready. So, what I'm going to do is take my handy dandy little scooper here. Scoop the potatoes. Right down in there. Now, you can futz with these a little and shape them once you have them in there. So have no fear. What we're going to do is just, you don't want to overcrowd your pan because you don't want your oil to get too cool too fast. So, got my little spatula back here. And now, what you can do is press down on these. And, you got a little, room to groove here. So I like mine to be a little bit on the thinner side. Again, this is something you'll see preference from one recipe to another. Some people do really thick latkes that look like more like a hockey puck, like that kind of thickness. Some people do really, really thin latkes that are like, almost see-through, that are really crisp. I like to still have a little bit of soft potato in the middle of mine, but a crunchy outside. So, we're going to let this first side go probably for about 4 or 5 minutes. You want it to get good and crispy, and we're going to flip it over and let it cook for another 4 or 5 minutes on the other side because you want both sides to be good and crispy. So, when we get to that point, I'll bring you folks back and show you what it looks like. Okay, folks, this is what you're looking for. Don't mind the noise in the background, that's just Josh helping me clean up. This is what you want. You want a golden brown like that. Now you may have to, depending on how your stove cooks, you may have to move your latkes around a little bit. See how this one wasn't quite as golden as I wanted it on that side. So I probably should have turned that one around a little bit. But that's okay. It'll still be good. See, that one's perfect. This one is another one, kind of half and half. So, don't be afraid to move your stuff around. Now we're going to let these cook on the other side, because remember, you're also cooking these potatoes all the way through, These are raw potatoes, so you don't want them to be taste raw when they're done. So we're going to let these cook a little bit further. You want to have a plate with some paper towel on it, so that when you take these out, you have some place to let some of this excess oil drain off. So I'm going to get that ready while these are finishing cooking, and I'll bring you folks back when we're ready with this first batch. Okay folks, I got some more in the pan here, but I thought I'd bring you up close here to see the finished product. So that's what you want. Golden brown, crispy. Here, let's see if I can tap on this. Can you hear it? That's what you want. There's a nice little soft center in there still, but they're nice and crispy on the outside. I'm going to go ahead and serve one of these up so you can see what it looks like while I finish frying the rest of these up. I'll be right back. Okay folks, I'm back. So, traditionally, latkes are served with either sour cream or applesauce. We have opted for applesauce tonight. What we have here, Let me get you in the camera here. This is my homemade Blackberry peach applesauce. So we just pulled a jar of this off the shelf. We've got our nice crunchy, crispy, but soft inside latkes. And I'm going to go ahead and give you a little taste test here. Let's see what we think. Yeah, you can just hear those crunch when you cut through them. That's what you want. Perfect. It's absolutely what you want. Good potato flavor on the inside, crispy crunchy on the outside, that little sweetness from the applesauce absolutely highlights that. Yeah, this is good traditional Hanukkah fare. Well, I hope you folks enjoyed seeing the basic version of latkes. Like I said, there is many ways you can go with these. You can introduce different root vegetables. You could do carrots, parsnips. You can do sweet potatoes. You could do rutabaga. So you could, sky's the limit as far as vegetables go. We've done sweet potato latkes before, and we love them. You could add different spices. We did curry in with our little curry powder in with our sweet potato latkes. They were fantastic. You could add fruits. You could do raisins or currants. You could do cheese if you wanted to do a cheesy version of them. I mean, there's really many ways you can go with this. The key is to make sure that you get all of the moisture out of your vegetables. Whether you squeeze them real hard through a towel, lay them out, and let them dry, for a couple hours. I mean, however you get there, you want the driest vegetable possible to start with. Then you can add in your cornmeal, flour, matzo meal, whatever it is, your dry ingredient that's going to soak up the last of the moisture. A couple eggs binds them together, and you're good to go. So we'll see about possibly getting another latke recipe out to you yet this week. Kind of depends on how our schedule goes. But I just wanted to give you the basics so that you could build off of there. So I hope you folks enjoyed this. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Come back and see us soon. And as always, I hope you had a great day.